get to the bag, ayy. Got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moving fast, ayy, ayy. Let them all cross. If they hate, then let them hate and make a bigger boss, ayy.
Hey guys, before we jump into the episode, I wanted to let you know it is brought to you by Denim. As a business owner myself, I personally know the importance of financial stability and preserving cash flow to help navigate through any freight market. With Denim's comprehensive service offering, you now have an all-in-one financial partner whose platform includes factoring, payments, freight audit, document collection management, and analytics, which help keep your business financially healthy and increase your team's time to focus on revenue-producing activities. You can also take advantage of Denim's free credit check, which they perform on all of your customers. And Denim will proactively reach out to you if they spot any signs of credit deterioration. Finally, Denim always pays your carriers first. As a broker, this is imperative to preserving your credit score in the market, which ultimately helps you become a broker of choice to your carrier partners. Are you ready to learn more? Visit denim.com to schedule a demo today. Just do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I do say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Friday, everybody. I got a very special guest for you guys here today. Longtime listener of the show, longtime supporter of the show, but most importantly, a really good friend of mine. And we're going to break down some headlines today, you guys. We're going to talk about the death, destruction, and despair of trucking that you see all over social media and everything else. So I got my man, Sonny Sharma, back on the show. Sonny, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
Oh, no, thank you. Good morning, Chris, and good morning, everybody.
No, man, I can't wait to break this down and just talk about how the entire industry is just dead. Everything's falling apart. There's no hope and everything else. And yeah, man, dude, it's wild what we see out there. And Cam says, "What's going on, Sonny?" But dude, Corey Buchan, happy Friday, my man. Dude, it's so crazy out there with everything that you see. It's I was out on the road earlier this week. I was out in Austin. The NMFTA had their annual cybersecurity conference, which is phenomenal to attend. And it was so nice though, like being off of social media for those 2.5 days, because like I was back to back the entire time. Like I conducted, I think like 9 interviews while I was there. I was emceeing the event as well and everything. And I didn't have time even to like go on Instagram or anything like that up until like the last 15, 20 minutes I was awake before I went to bed. And when I flew back Tuesday night, I'm like, man, I feel really good. And then Wednesday, I show up and it pull up social media and it's just like, it's just a shitstorm out there. And I'm like, man, I got to like just stay off of this stuff for a while. Cause it's like, I'm just looking at it from like a productivity standpoint more than anything. And it just seems like there's just so much out there that's just geared to just thwart any progress you might want to make.
That's what people want to do. They don't want to see anybody succeed. They don't want to see anybody else happy. And like we said earlier, even if you do put out a good post, something positive, share some positive news or something, it gets throttled.
Yeah.
There's too much negativity in this damn world, and especially, I mean, I refuse to go on LinkedIn anymore.
Yeah.
And Instagram, Facebook, they're all the same. All social media is the same. And
Dude,
it's all about negativity.
It really is, Sonny. And, you know, I literally put a post up there this morning that I'm seeing a lot of people who just live in the headlines, right? Like they got the flavor of the week, the topic of the day. And, you know, what they don't realize is they're really getting worked up about nothing, right? Because it's like, if we look at a lot of the hot button issues inside of transportation, we're going to be breaking down a couple of these articles here on the show. But it's like, if you look at all of this stuff, man, like 99% of it does not affect your business as much as you want to think it does. You know, because like, again, I am of the mindset, in today's political climate, I need to see actual action. I have seen, and maybe this is because I'm almost 40, you know, that I have just seen so many dead words from politicians and elected officials over the years. Like, I've just kind of grown accustomed to the fact that they're going to say a lot, but do nothing with those words. So that's why I see a lot of these headlines out there, and people are sitting here praising the current administration about stuff. And again, give credit where credit's due, but like, I got to see a lot more actual progress before I can marry up any of these headlines and be like, yeah, there's some truth to that now.
Yeah, 100%. The one big thing, and I hate talking about politics, is the divide in our country, and not only our country, but we're talking about our industry. There's such a divide. People, because of social media, have lost touch of reality, have lost touch of what our industry is, what our drivers do, what brokers do, what trucking companies do, so on and so forth. It is insane, and you're almost 40, I'm almost 50. It's going to be a while before, I think it'll be a while before it starts turning around to where people can get away from the negativity.
Yeah.
I hope overnight, because that's what we need. But
yeah, dude, I agree with that, Sonny. And one of the hottest takes I saw this morning is that it is brokers and shippers' faults that trucking companies were employing illegal drivers to drive for their fleet. I was like, I actually felt dumber after reading that take, where I'm like, so hold on a second. It's the shipper's fault that you hired a driver that shouldn't have legally been driving? Like, how is it the shipper's fault that you allowed that to happen? And I see some of this stuff, man, and I'm like, no wonder there's so much divide, right? And that post had a ton of engagement, of engagement. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, we all can't be this dumb, right? Like, I don't know, man. It's wild. It's so wild to me that that's where it is. But then again, it's like, I look at a lot of this stuff and I'm like, how does this help me grow my business, right? And maybe my mindset's different because like I am self-employed, right? Like I only eat what I kill. Like I have to perform no matter what's going on in the freight market, no matter what's going on in the economy. I have to get results. Otherwise I starve or I lose my business and stuff like that. So it's like, I just kind of look at it. And especially if you pan out over the last 5 years, we're kind of going through like COVID headline 2.0 with a lot of this stuff, right? Where it's like, there's a lot of animosity that's being driven right now out there. But again, I look at this is how is this going to affect me from providing the best service that I can as a broker? And no matter what you see out there, whether it's tariffs, drivers exiting the market, like that doesn't affect my ability to be a top tier service provider, right? Like, yeah, there might be less capacity out there on the road if that inevitably happens. But like, again, that doesn't affect my ability to put the right truck on there, to take the right commitments from my customers and everything else. So I guess I just kind of look at it is I got to take it from my seat and go out, right? Like what can control? And I think that's a step that I think a lot of people are overlooking, because again, it's easier to sit there and blame somebody else or some other topic for your failures. And this is coming from somebody who did that for the majority of their life. All right. I blamed everybody else but myself.
Well, it goes back to people don't say, what do I control? People read articles, for example, the first one, the largest capacity purge. Instead of reading that article, why not worry about, okay, what can I do? What can I do to keep the drivers happy? What can I do to keep my customers safe and the product safe? Yesterday, the show you had on, great show, great product also. Be positive. I was on the phone with a carrier of mine earlier today, and all he wanted to do was complain. I won't use the first word. And I'm like, dude, it's Friday morning. You're taking your children to school. Why are you complaining?
Yeah.
Why are you putting negativity out in the world? You're controlling what you are making. You have great drivers. Okay, you have 35% of your fleet parked. That was your choice, right? And you still got to pay your bills. Talk to your shippers, talk to your brokers, and try to get some more money. The money's out there. Us as brokers have to go back to our customers and say, hey, market's changing. I mean, I've seen RFPs. I got 3 of them last night that I know were submitted, I'd say 4 months ago for next year. They want them redone because they know that the market's changed.
Yeah. No, and that's it, right? Like and I think that's one thing that, that like the other day, I think it was Wednesday when I did my show, I told my stance is yes, contracted freight is great, but like going into a market shift like we are, and again, I still think it's too early to tell on like, hey guys, we're in it or it's happening or anything like that. But I feel like you're in such a better position if you're in a spot market scenario with your customer than a locked in contract, right? Because like, you're fortunate that your customers came to the realization, they're like, hey, let's do a rebid here. We know things are changing. That's not going to be the case for everywhere. And there's going to be people who are locked in to these contracted rates. They're not going to be able to sustain the price increases that inevitably come with where this market is going to shift next. And then they're going to fail on loads, and then their customers are going to kick them out of their market. Like without hesitation, they're going to get rid of them.
No, that's when I'll be knocking on their door.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm actually like, what we're about to embark upon was, I didn't think it was going to take this long for it to happen when we had started back up there, Sonny. But like, this is the reason why I started back when I did. I thought this was going to happen in 24, like a lot of people did.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, we're going to be in a really good position because like I know how to operate in a low capacity market. I've been there. I've seen this before, right? Like nothing what we're about to see is an anomaly. If you've ever been in this industry pre-2021, this stuff
is happening. The thing. There's the younger generation, the new brokers, the new people coming in, just like when we were on the same panel last year, all those people are new. They haven't experienced what you and I and a lot of your listeners have experienced.
Yeah.
And we're used to it. We knew originally, I mean, COVID came in, everybody made a ton of money, people bought trucks, people were growing. But you and I knew, and a lot of other brokers knew, experienced people knew that wasn't going to last.
Yeah.
That's not forever. You can't, customers aren't going to pay $4, $5, $6, $7 a mile like they were for those 2 years.
Yep. No, it's not sustainable at all, man. And, so let's jump into the first article here. So the article that Sonny and I are alluding to is this came out from FreightWaves the other day, and it's talking about the largest capacity purge in history that's coming. And, there's people who are just like, I swear, throwing darts against the wall with the amount of trucks that are going to leave the market and everything else. But, it talks about that the freight industry is heading towards a major capacity correction. They use the word purge. They've also used the word bloodbath in the past, but that the verbiage has since changed to purge, where a large number of carriers, trucks, and drivers will exit the market. It identifies multiple structural pressures, driving this, excess capacity, regulatory burdens, rising costs. I don't know if costs are continuing to rise out there as much in regards to like repairs. It's seemingly been pretty steady over the last couple of years. Again, I'm not saying that they're low, so I want to be abundantly clear about that. But my argument with a lot of this is with, I'm not saying trucks aren't going to leave the market, but like I've been saying since, I don't know, June of 2024, there's going to be a mass exodus of brokers from the market than there is going to be before carriers, right? Because again, when drivers say brokers aren't needed in the market, like I agree with that sentiment to a point, right? Like I do, because at the end of the day, trucks are what is physically needed to transport the goods out there, right?
We need them.
Yeah, exactly. And I look at it is if we're looking at the domiciled CDL holders that are out there, the non-domiciled ones, and you know, it's like I think it's like 200,000 is the ones that we're talking about on record. That it's a gross misjudgment to think all 200,000 of them are illegal. You know, it's a very gross misjudgment. You know, and 100%. And even if 200,000 drivers were removed from the market, that's like what, 1%, 2% of the drivers that are on the road right now. So I look at it is if you look at the available freight that is out there in the market as a whole, I think a lot of that volume gets absorbed. And now I'm not going to say that capacity is not going to be tight, and I'm not going to say that rates might not rise in the pockets, but like I think we're going to see like blips. It's going to be more of like a holiday week or weekend or DOT inspection week where freight's going to move. It just might take you a little bit more effort to cover it. And it's going to be, you're going to pay more than you want to pay on that load in the moment. I think that is one thing that we're going to start to see. But I think from my perspective, it depends. And to tie in my earlier point, it depends on how hard the current administration actually goes with this, you know, because again, there's a lot of great headlines and great talking points being done. But I think that the factor that is not being discussed is the thing that I talk about, and criminals don't care about like they're going to continue to find a way to operate because the core issue starts and stops with the FMCSA. And that's the major thing that I have not seen. And again, I haven't seen every single clip out there. I haven't seen Duffy come out and say, hey, we have identified a lot of operational flaws in our system. We're addressing them. It's a lot of finger pointing, and that's what I don't like. And again, I'm going to call balls and strikes on this show as I see them. I am not going to sit here and fluff anybody up because I may or may not identify them with politically.
There's a lot of talk behind the scenes. No one has stepped forward to say, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's A, B, C, and this is how it's going to be done. Yes, we've all heard the stories about ICE being at scales or truck stops and this and that, and drivers getting arrested. Okay, certain states are doing it. No, not everybody's talking about it. Until everybody starts talking about it, or someone in the government and the FMCSA, i.e. Duffy, step forward and say, hey, here's what I'm going to hold the country to, then it's gonna, I think that's when shit will really hit the fan. Yeah,
no, I agree.
I mean, some of these numbers I think are inflated just for clickbait.
Correct.
I have friends that got out of trucking a long time ago that they got out because the money wasn't there. And I've recently talked to them and they said, you know what, we're probably gonna get back in and start driving again. So if they're saying there's 200,000 non-domicile, well, how many other drivers left the industry that are willing to come back now?
Yeah. And I'd also like to see how many of these drivers, like when we're looking at the actual data points here of like valid CDLs, there's a big difference between a valid CDL and an active CDL, because I know a lot of guys that hold active CDLs that don't drive, right?
I'm one of them.
So no, again, so it's like when you look at these data sets and these numbers, and that's why I want people to be cautious about it. When you see, even if it is 500,000 non-domiciled CDL holders or 500,000 CDL holders might leave the market, whatever, like, again, are they actively driving or do they just have a valid CDL? And I would like to see that data. And we can't sit here and say that the government doesn't have access to that information, Sonny, because shit, they would know in about 3.2 seconds if I Zelled you $600.
Well, but it's also what people aren't talking about is, well, the other thing that's not being said is they're saying 200 or 250,000 CDL drivers are leaving the market. How many of those drivers are non-domicile? How many of them are at retirement age?
Yeah, for sure.
No one's saying, okay, well, here's the actual breakdown. No one is saying, okay, it's 50,000 retirement and 150,000 non-domicile. That's like, where's Duffy and those numbers?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think that there's a lot of information that is not being said. And, the optics behind a lot of this. Yeah. Right. Like, ICE hanging out at scale houses, truck stops, rolling up on people and everything else. The optics look like they're doing way more than they might actually be doing. And again, like when we're looking at a lot of this, like I said this the other day or the other week on here is if anything, they need to do a hard stop on everything until they can actually come up with a clear picture. Because again, I feel like we're chasing too many different things here, right? Because again, it's like every, people who are here on a work visa, again, you might not agree with it, but as long as they filled out the paperwork and they did everything legally, they have every right to operate their business here, right? Like no matter what your personal opinions are. Same thing with non-domiciled CDL drivers that are out there. If they follow the rule of law out there, they have every right to be here and operate. That stuff is not the stuff that bothers me. It's the fact that they have allowed people who don't have actual CDLs. States have under the table slid them, not actually held that standard. And I talked about that the other day. There has to be a set standard. If the FMCSA and the Department of Transportation, all 50 states should have to adhere to the exact same rules when it comes to something like CDLs. Like they have to. There should not be any loopholes where one state can do something or not require a certain document, but then other states are adhering to that, right? Like I feel like that is the core issue. And again, that is an FMCSA issue that they have to address.
They should also, one, I agree with that. Two, these states and the DMVs and they should all be audited by a set entity. May it be the FMCSA, may it be the FMCSA hire an outsourced company, couple agents, just so they're all held to the same standard. Every state should be audited and said, okay, show us what you've done, what not.
Yeah.
They require dash cams facing both ways on our OTR drivers. Do they require that at the DMV for passing the driver's test?
Yeah. I
don't know.
I'm not anti the CDL schools that are doing it the right way, but I feel like there should be no third party way to pass a CDL test. I think that the state DMV should have to pass the driver themselves. I don't think that, and that goes to large fleets that are out there that have their own. And again, I'm not saying I'm not saying that these guys are bad, but I feel like for the time being, if you're going to be issued a CDL or if you're going to re-up your CDL, you should have to have a standards test that is administered by the actual DMV. Like just from the state itself, there should be no more third party, at least for the time being, until they can close all of these loopholes that allow people to somehow come into possession of these licenses.
Yeah, it goes back. I mean, I understand and I agree because I've seen it. I did my yearly drive across country. During the day, you don't see very many trucks on the road, not like a couple of years ago. Drove through Oklahoma. You'll see trucks on the road at night. Truck stops were empty.
Mm-hmm.
I did witness at one truck stop a driver getting pulled out of his truck. We'll leave that story right where it is.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad, but I don't understand why all states, well, I do understand. Why can't they just be forced to follow the same rule and agree with it?
Yeah.
And the only way that can happen is if the political divide stops.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I think we're at least 10 years away from possibly seeing anything like that out there. But that article, you guys, again, it was from FreightWaves. And it was talking about the largest capacity purge in history incoming. And again, I think that is a very premature statement that there's a lot that has yet to be seen on that, because again, I feel like there's too much data, there's too much numbers being thrown out there without validity. And when I say validity, where's the actual proof of this, right? Like there's that many that are doing it illegally. And again, like the crime statistics that are out there, again, like if there was 200,000 non-domiciled CDLs that were issued legally, and I'll use air quotes there because some states, again, are kind of making things happen. But again, if they were legally issued that, they're not doing anything wrong. And we have to kind of keep a very open mind to that. There's a difference between illegal and legal. And I think that line is being very blurred out there. But next article we're going to talk about here is, and I think this is a way bigger threat than more people are even giving any thought to, because AI sounds cool and it's great in a marketing deck out there right now. And again, I want to be clear. I'm not making fun of this company or thinking that they're doing anything wrong by implementing this in their business. This is just the reality of what happens out there, you guys. And this is from ttnews.com. AI pays off big for C.H. Robinson. And anybody out there who has been living under a rock missed that article. A couple of weeks back, they were talking about that when their earnings report came out, and they had a massive swing and they got a lot of favorability on Wall Street and everything else. But they saw their stock price surge 20% after reporting their third quarter results and beat expectations. And they also raised their 2026 operating income outlook. It's largely attributed to increasing use of AI to automate operations such as quoting, scheduling, tracking shipments, and helping produce efficiency gains, even while the broader freight and logistics industry remains weak. And I want to talk about this as a lever, a differentiator out there. And we saw UPS just laid off a boatload of people. Amazon, same situation. And again, I think that a lot of corporate fat and redundancies are made very glaringly obvious when technology is implemented, right? And I use the example of how many times have you worked in a job where, why do we have 3 people doing this role? Shouldn't only one person be doing it? And I think like that is where that's where we are with it, right? And I'm not here to argue the morality of people losing their jobs and stuff like that and corporations implementing this stuff, but like this is the free market. And I look at it as, no matter what, if you're an A player, like an actual A player, not the A player we all tell ourselves that we are out there, you're going to be just fine no matter what. But I think like, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who kind of skate by, and they've skated by for a very long time. They know they weren't performing at a level that deserved retaining their job, but they did it because they were allowed to. And now AI and technology is exposing a lot of people, I think.
It's going to open up a lot of people's eyes to them hopefully realize, you know what, I'm not what I thought I was. I'm not what I portrayed myself to be. I need to step up, or I'm about to lose my job or my career.
Yeah.
AI scares me. I've looked into it, and obviously being in the business, we all have to somehow implement it. It's just a scary thing.
Yeah.
It goes back to the fraud and the theft. How much of that is being done by AI?
Mm-hmm.
How much of that is? I read an article where, and after reading it, it just says the criminals out there are finding loopholes in onboarding companies and getting in the back door and making themselves look legal. Well, how much of that is AI?
Mm-hmm.
How much fraud's out there where people are hacking your computers and saying they want money? How much of that is AI?
Mm-hmm.
Accounting departments. I've talked to my wife, and she's like, yeah, no, I will do this manually. I will not implement AI when it comes to anything to do with accounting or compliance.
Yeah, and to me, Sonny, that was my biggest takeaway at the cybersecurity conference that I went to earlier this week. And again, like this is why you guys need to get at this event. You know, and again, the NMFTA has a ton of free resources on their website for people to utilize. But it's here's the actual thing. You've probably already been hacked. That was my biggest takeaway from it, because that was the top cybersecurity minds in the industry, and some could argue the world, that were at this event. And there's a very high probability you've already been hacked. It's not, and then again, it's definitely not a matter of if, it's when you get hacked. And it's kind of crazy to think. And I actually, if you guys want to go back to my show, it was on Monday's show with Amadou Kane. He talked about this, about with fleets, and how if they gain access to your ELD, that's all they need. They can hack your ELD, they can get into your TMS, then from your TMS, they can get all your customer data. If you have ACH or any form of electronic payments that are done, they can
get it all.
They have everything, right? And it's wild to think. And I think that's where a lot of it is, right? Like if you look at deep fakes and everything else, Sonny, I think that is that's where a lot of this stuff is trending from a cyber aspect. And then, you know, again, from freight theft and everything else that comes along with it, that's all they need, man. And again, it's I'm not here to like fearmonger people or anything like that, but there are some very basic steps you can implement inside of your organization that protects you exponentially. I'm never going to say removes anything, but it protects you exponentially. And that's why you need to go to events like the cybersecurity conference. And it's pennies compared to other industry conferences right now. It's pennies to attend something like that. And what's that?
It's in Arizona next year, isn't it?
It's in Long Beach, actually, I believe, is what they're saying.
It's in my state.
Yeah, but it's, you know, it's pennies to go to something like this to learn more. And again, like we're talking basic steps that do a lot of work to help protect your organization.
And if you don't, I mean, yes, it's scary. And our IT departments, I just tell them, you guys do whatever you need to do. The biggest fear for us is, I mean, obviously for anybody, is being spoofed or hacked. I don't want to get, I mean, we get calls because unfortunately fortunately someone else has this same name as us. They're based out of the South. We get calls all the time. Hey, this, and I'm like, sorry, wrong company. Yeah. I've actually gotten to the point where I have their phone number and I say, oh, here's the phone number you meant to call.
Yeah.
But it's a simple fact. If you don't protect, starting with, okay, us brokers, we don't own equipment, but we have emails. I tell everybody, get away from Gmail, Hotmail, go get your own domain.
Yeah.
Go get a Google Suite. It's not expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, add your cybersecurity, add filters. I mean, I've had a customer, we did an update and the customer was like, hey, you're not replying to my emails. I'm like, I didn't get any. And so I called my IT guy, and he's like, he went through it, and I guess he cranked up I call it cranking up the filters.
Yeah.
And my customer's email started going that direction. And I'm like, okay, we need to go down the list on what's approved and what's not.
Yeah.
Lucky enough, we caught it in time where we didn't miss any freight, but it was just a simple fact. And that's one of the conversations when I start traveling on Monday. I'll be around the corner from you. That's one of the topics that we're talking about on the panel I'm going to be on is cybersecurity, how to filter, and how to try to avoid fraud within our industry.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And, you know, for me, the big takeaway with this article in particular is there is a lot of companies that are going to be putting this in there. And I think, like, unfortunately, this is just the start of a lot of layoffs that are going to be coming down the pipeline here in the coming months, next 12 months, to say the least, because, you know, again, technology exposes a lot of redundancies. And when you're in an inflationary period like we are in the economy right now, people got to bring their costs down in any way they can. And unfortunately, it starts with headcount. And that's where a lot of companies are gonna go with it. But well, hey, Sonny, we're gonna have to pass on this third article here because I don't know if we're gonna have. We need more time than what's left here because both of us have day jobs. How does anybody reach out to you to find out more about what you guys got going on?
Our website, zemzinc.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Sonny Sharma. You can find Zems on LinkedIn, and just reach out. I'm always here to help.
Perfect. Sonny, I appreciate it. That's going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling ambitious, rank it on iTunes and Spotify, because if you see value, your network's going to see it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang, window down, yelling out money.